Welcome to EnduringTechnologyPress.com. I'm Eric, and I think one of my favorite loaves has to be light rye flour. And the bakery up at our family cottage for a long time produced fantastic light rye bread. And that was always the highlight of a trip into town, was grabbing one of those. And the family that lives around the bay, you know, if you went in, generally, it would be appreciated if you grabbed a loaf for them, and they'd certainly pay back the favor. It's just an awesome style of loaf, just begging to be used for really wonderful sandwiches or toasted. You know, it is the quintessential toast that goes well with a robust honey. Fortunately, we have a lot of buckwheat honey in our larder, so that goes together nicely. And it's really, really easy to produce. And while those loaves were pretty expensive, and you know, even if you go for rye flour at the grocery store, at least around here, you get those little runty bags. They just don't measure up, right? Here, you know, that's one of the advantages of having your own mill. We buy rye, or sometimes we'll use triticale in 50-pound sacks. Dirt cheap, and mill it up as necessary, and then integrate it into our baking and produce these wonderful loaves. They're really easy, and these particular ones are sourdough, so you're not even at the expense of having to buy for your yeast. They've got a wonderful tang that goes well with that rye flavor. Because they are light rye, a combination of that whole grain rye flour as well as 50% white flour, pretty much anybody is going to adore these. You know, they don't taste like they're super good for you, but they certainly are much better for you than one of those empty white loaves. And they're really, really easy. They just require a little bit of forethought. You start the night before, and then you're good to go. But really, very simple loaf. And once you try this out, I'm sure you'll be hooked. So here's how we do it. So we've got our rye flour that we've milled up, and we've got that in there. Just going to add our sourdough, and then before we leave the sourdough, we'll top that up with fresh flour and water, and leave it out on the counter overnight to work and restore the vitality of that. I really love the King Arthur blend of that. So we got that mixed together. We're going to add our water, and this is going to be a fairly liquidy mixture when it's all done. And we've got our Danish whisk, which is perfect for this type of job. Get everything incorporated in there and moist. All of these ones that use sourdough, that use an overnight starter, whether it's this, whether it's the whole grain, whole wheat waffles, you know, they take a little bit extra forethought, but man, do they really deliver on the taste, and get to save a few bucks too on your powdered yeast. Okay, making sure that got everything. The water content isn't, you know, super important. As with any whole grain flour, you know, your hydration level will diminish as the flour absorbs the water, and it takes a little bit longer to absorb. And little bit more judgment factor compared to white flour. There we go. So what you're looking at, this is the sort of consistency that I aim for. Cover that with a tea towel and let all that great sourdough yeast work it. Again, this Danish whisk, just the cat's meow for this type of job. It's awesome. So we'll walk away and let biology take its course. Morning. This is the morning after the night before. So time for our big reveal. We'll check our sourdough and it's back up and nice, so it's ready to go off and be used for another baking adventure or be put in the fridge for a little while. Now for our big reveal, sort of like artwork, only probably given the quality of art, a lot tastier. And this is what we've got. I don't know if you can see it there. You can hear as he ripped the surface, those bubbles coming out, just filled with yeast. The overnight has softened any of the coarser flour particles. So what we're going to do, because this is light rye, we're going to add this to our whole wheat flour that's already, or our white flour and salt that's already in the mixer bowl. This should contain most of the water, but I've got water there to add. So I'm going to put it on the dough hook, reposition the camera, and show you what we get when it's kneading. So here we are starting to mix that in. Looks like we do need a little bit more water. Consistency of our dough once the machine is done its kneading. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is turn off the machine, cover up the bowl with a tea towel, and about an hour, hour and a half. Won't have doubled in bulk, but if it did come close, I'll come back and show you what we do at that point. Okay. Flour our work surface. There we go. Flour the outside. Just lightly deflate it. Don't work it too much, right? Okay. Grab a knife. Slice it into 2 loaves. Now what I've got here, and I really love doing this for loaves that would tend to spread out a little bit more, I've got a silicone baking sheet down here. Then I'm going to roll up a couple other sheets. Okay. And you want to arrange it so that if this wants to roll out, it's going to be rolling into the loaf of bread, right? So we'll work to form this up. Just make it nice and solid. Okay. In here. Do that for the second one, and we'll allow these to rise for about an hour, just covered in that tea towel. So our oven is preheating to 450, and we're going to get our steam, or inject our water in there, spray water in to get our steam. So we'll start that up, let it come up to temperature, then stick our loaves in.